Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me for your advanced look at all of these collected editions coming out from Marvel Comics this week. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody, to your advanced look at Marvel Comics collected editions coming out the week of July 25th or 26th, depending on where you get your books. Now, missing from here, of course, are the Avengers Omnibus Volume 2 reprint. I filmed these out of sequence, so I think maybe that video already went live. If not, it will go up tomorrow. The Marvel Masterworks X-Men, the Remasterworks Volume 1, that video will go up on Wednesday. And then the Captain America by Ta-Nehisi Coates Omnibus. And that video should already be out. Sorry. This is Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? Even though I'm not filming this on Tuesday. Anyway, let's go ahead and just jump into it. We got a lot of books to talk about. We've got Epic Collections, a reprint of an Epic Collection, a digest-sized book finishing out that spectacular run, and oversized hardcover. So let's go ahead and jump in. And as a matter of fact, speaking of jumping, don't forget that in the description of the video, I put timestamps to let you know where and when I'm talking about a specific book, in case you're only interested in 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're interested in all of it, yeah, awesome. Watch the whole way through. Smash that like button. Matter of fact, just smash that like button regardless of how many books you're interested in. I go very little into spoilers, but some of these, you know, like when we're looking at Trials of X, Volume 11, I mean, we're looking at 2 years, oh my gosh, 3 years worth of stories from the Krakoa era. So, you know, something to keep in mind, maybe minor spoilers. And then, of course, on these older stories, I may warn you ahead of time in case you've never read some of these classics. All right, let's go ahead and start with Strange Academy Finals. And here we are, kicking it off this week with Strange Academy Finals. So this is really volume 4 of the Strange Academy digest-sized books. And if you're asking, or if you're going to ask, is there any word of an oversized hardcover, volume 2, or any word of an omnibus? Nothing yet. But being that this was such a beloved series, I believe it was up for a couple of awards, I assume it's going to come. Now, when I'm jumping into this, a lot of things have happened, especially in the previous volumes. There was betrayals, and I'm just going to talk about the beginning part. I'm not going to show the ending, the big battle, but oh my gosh, the big battle is amazingly illustrated. And of course, a lot of love to Humberto Ramos, big fan of his ever since his days on Impulse. But Edgar Delgado, without question, just bringing that magic to life with his colors. So yes, now we are looking at the tail end of the story. I mean, this is it as far as Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos they are done. So this collects issues 1 through 6 of Strange Academy Finals. And this is where we get pretty much everything just coming to a close. All the betrayals, all the kids that are siding with the school, and then how the school and the teachers are going to react when the big bad is revealed. Because of course somebody is pulling the strings of not just some of these characters that have left the school, but also some of the villains that have been affecting them. Like this character right here, Gaslamp. Always liked the designs on that character. But in here, you're going to see Dark Dimensions, you're going to see the Mindless Ones, and you're going to see who is behind everything in this, I guess, the whole thing. And how the school of Strange Academy is going to deal with everything that's going on. So, wonderful artwork again by Humberto Ramos and Delgado. All the way in the back, you're going to find a letter from the editor and the creators talking about how much they love spending time with these characters and how much these characters mean to them. All the way in the back, you're going to find variant covers featuring these wonderful characters. Actually, these are the trading card variants. And then this variant right here from Humberto Ramos, and the Scotty Young variant there, and then the back of this book. 144 pages, and like the other digest-sized books of Strange Academy, this one retails for $13.99. Trials of X, Volume 11. As I already stated when doing my overview, or actually it was the reading order of the Krakoa era of X-Men, I stated that they are discontinuing the anthology series. So Trials of X Volume 12 will be the last one. I did want to double check with the collected editions department at Marvel and then triple check again, but yes, 12 will be the last one. They thought it was coming to a natural end, and the other books were pretty much just outselling these, and these take a lot more time to put together. So that's what ended up happening with the books. I'm heartbroken, of course, because I love the anthologies. This is how I kept up with these books, but it felt like for at least the last year that they were so behind that I had all the other trade paperbacks way ahead of these anthologies. Because at first it was like reading monthly titles, and I thought that was just a wonderful way to keep up. But here we are, and it's coming to a close. And I know, I said it's coming to a natural end because Volume 2 or Volume 12 has Sabretooth issue number 2. Sabretooth has 4 issues. So it's not really a natural end. I think it's more like a coming to a close. And I will talk about when I look at Volume 12, if you're interested in continuing getting these in collected editions, what other trade paperbacks to get. This one here collects X-Men, the 2021 series, number 7, The Secret X-Men, number 1, which is awesome. Sabretooth, number 1, which another one that I've done an overview already, the whole series. Devil's Reign, X-Men 1 and 2. And that's pretty much it. So we have, again, something going on with the character of Cyclops. He's taken out of commission. And we have this secret group of X-Men, including some of my favorite characters. And what this is pretty much the characters that almost made it to the team when they vote during the Hellfire Gala and did not make it. But these are some of the characters that you're going to be seeing play a backup team. Then we have the return of Sabretooth. And of course, Sabretooth has been in this pit for a long time, since pretty much House and Powers of X. And you find out exactly what is going on with him down there and what it all could mean. Devil's Reign is going through the entire Marvel Universe, and the X-Men are, of course, affected, mainly because of the transporter that they have in Central Park. So now Kingpin is blackmailing Emma Frost because of something in her past. Phil Noto providing wonderful artwork here. All the way in the back is where you're going to find the extras. So you have some variants back here, like these amazing trading card variants. Love that headshot by Jim Chung. And then covers. I have to say, I thought this was Scott or Will Spertasio at first, but that is Scott Williams. Of course, probably best known from inking Jim Lee's work for decades. Book retails for $19.99, and it has 160 pages. Mary Jane and Black Cat. Dark Web. I love that Jed MacKay is still writing the adventures of Black Cat. None of this is collected in the omnibus, but neither was the first series. But the first series honestly tied directly with the Spider-Man Beyond stories that it didn't really need to be in there, but it would have been nice. But then again, I'm looking at this and I could see them continuing more Black Cat stories and miniseries, and I would love a volume 2 of Black Cat by Jed MacKay, whoever she teams up with. But this time around, it's Mary Jane. That's right. You've hit the jackpot, Tiger. Well, that takes a completely different meaning, even though another character already had that codename. All right, so what happens in this series? Well, we are looking at the Dark Web era. We are looking at the era when the clone of Spider-Man, again, just minor spoilers, but I gotta give you the premise of this. The clone of Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, came back, worked for the Beyond Corporation, snapped, you can find out how by reading those stories, and became Chasm, and teamed up with another clone, the clone of Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor, who became the Goblin Queen, and together they are just causing hell on Earth, or really hell on almost said Sin City, New York City right now. It's up to Black Cat and a newly powered Mary Jane to stop them. This right here is just Jed MacKay having fun. I'm serious. And it reads like it's a lot of fun. It reads like the Black Cat Omnibus. It's nonsense at times, although it is nice to see the return of characters like Belasco and Sim and a couple of other surprises. And for some reason, Mary Jane has powers, and she adopts a new nickname or a new superhero name. And it's all explained through here. There are some dark elements, and then there's some mysteries, of course, that they leave open. None of this really affects the main story of Dark Web, so it's not included in the Dark Web trade paperback. I don't know, maybe when they make an omnibus this will be included in there, but it's hella fun. Can't believe I just said that. But I just said it. I don't care. I'm owning it. But yes, that's the best way I can describe these stories. I really enjoy them. And we also have The Mask of Doctor Doom. Let me just tell you the pitch here by showing you these 2 pages. Dr. Doom wakes up one day, his mask is going, and he says, damn you, Black Cat, and that is The Mask of Dr. Doom. It's a couple more pages, but it's just ridiculousness like that. All the way in the back, and I'm saying, whoa, I thought that was Adam Hughes at first. I'm saying ridiculousness in the best, most positive way. I don't mean like, oh, this is ridiculous, rolling my eyes. I'm a 45-year-old man. I don't roll my eyes. Though sometimes when my kids talk to me, what the hell am I saying? Oh, yes, the extras in the back. There are some gorgeous extras. There's variant covers back here. I really thought that was Adam Hughes, but that is Pablo Villalobos and Rochelle Rosenberg. And just wonderful extras back here. Some are just stunning. This book has 128 pages and retails for $17.99. Hulk by Donny Cates, Volume 2, Planet Hulk. Although really, the name doesn't have by Donny Cates, just in case you're looking at a comic book store and you run across the spine, it doesn't have that. But the name is Hulk Planet. Did I say Planet Hulk? Man. Creature of Habit. This wraps up Donny Cates' era of the Incredible Hulk, but it's unfair just to save Donny Cates because Ryan Ottley plays a big part in this, not just drawing these stories. He also plots it and ends up finishing writing the stories that Donny Cates started. Donny Cates, unfortunately, left this and Thor. So this is in the aftermath of the Thor and Hulk war. And this is actually right afterwards where I talked a little bit about this. It's the same kind of story as the first volume, where you have Banner inside of Hulk's mind, and Hulk is actually powering up the Hulk spaceship. But the Hulk spaceship has now crash landed on this planet that is full of Hulks. And that's what the big story is in here. There's a character named, let me see if I can find, Monolith, which looks a lot like a Jack Kirby creation. And she's greeting Hulk, Bruce Banner, as saying, welcome home. Like, this planet of Hulks has always existed. Because, well, you all know Hulk is a human. Bruce Banner, gamma ray radiations. It's the monster inside of Bruce, but here we have a little bit of a story that adds to this mystery of, well, maybe he's an alien. And in this particular story, Hulk is dying. His body is dying. And they have to figure out a way to save him. Now, the one thing that is done in here that I really enjoyed, because I asked the question within the first volume, I'm thinking, what happens if somebody else pilots the Hulk ship? And it's not Hulk. Can that be done through his brain? Well, you will get the answers here, or you'll get the same question here, and you'll find out who's piloting who. But there's big battles at the end with big creatures. Ryan Ottley just having a blast drawing these big fights, trying to cross that line as much as humanly possible without getting too much into trouble. You have the return of the characters that are kind of like Planetary. Warren Ellis is Planetary. They also play a part in this. I thought they were just one-off characters. So this does collect the last part of Donny Cates' run. This collects Hulk, the 2021 series, 9 through 14. The book Retails for $17.99. Let's look at the extras in the back. Here's some of the extras in the back, some of the variants. And this book, by the way, has 130 pages. The no price variant is freaking brilliant. I love that. Yeah, there's the Banner of War crossover and what the first volume looks like, or at least the cover right here. $17.99, 130 pages. And that is Hulk Planet. Another book that I guess I'm just going to go ahead and say minor spoilers going in, but I'm talking pretty much about the premise of this. But I can't talk about the premise without talking about what happened previously. And we are looking at almost the ending of Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil. This has been phenomenal. The beginning is still my favorite. I think the beginning of most series always is my favorite, though. But it's still just as good as the stuff that he was writing towards the middle of his arc. So this is the stuff after Devil's Reign. This collects Daredevil 6 through 10, even though the book itself is called Daredevil and Elektra, because they're both playing a big role in this. Because during his imprisonment, Matt left Elektra with the duties of being Daredevil. So I'm really interested why they decided to name it Daredevil and Elektra, because she is the other Daredevil. The Red Fist Saga Part 2. Now, something big happens in the finale of last issue, and in this, it picks up from there. So there's a big status quo change for Matt in the last volume. You can find out for yourself by reading it. I'm not going to spoil that. What happens here, though, is that both Matt and Elektra are now in charge of the Red Fist, which to some predates the Hand. And the Hand and the Red Fist are at each other's throats. So Matt, for some reason, gets the idea to go and recruit some criminals, like Stiltman, criminals like some of the Wrecking Crew, which is really odd for Matt to do. So this catches the attention of some of the other Marvel characters that are wondering, well, what the hell's going on here, Matt? You know, are you just pretending to be in charge of these group of supervillains, or are you really going full-blown supervillain? What's up? And of course, a lot of it, they think that Elektra is brainwashing him to becoming this evil character, which very well could be. I haven't read the series. I love his costume, though. He looks like a more vintage character, a more mature type of Daredevil, if you will. But in here, you're going to have something huge, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Punisher, because the Punisher series during Jason Aaron's run, he plays a big part in the Hand. So when the Hand comes to it, yes, they even got Agony. When the Hand finds out about the Red Fist, it's an all-out war. So now it is the Hand and the superheroes coming to battle the Red Fist. And you can find out how all of that ends by reading the book. It's been one crazy ride. I can't imagine. He was talking when we interviewed him about when he ends this, he's going to leave Matt in a new status quo for the new writer. And of course, now we know the new writer, Saladin Ahmed. Man, that's going to be crazy. I can't wait to see what happens. I love when writers leave the next writer with a new status quo and they kind of are cornered to do something unique with the character. This book collects, like I said, Daredevil 6 through 10, but it is the relaunch from 2022. Let's look in the back here for extras. Here are some of the extras in their thumbnail size. There are a couple splash page extras or variants. They're in between the chapters, but I don't really want to show anything in any of the endings here. The book has 112 pages and retails for $15.99. That is Daredevil and Elektra, the Red Fist Saga Part 2. It has come to be that time of the video where we look at all the spines from the books coming out this week for Marvel, and also remind everyone to please don't forget to smash that like button. That's a very small thing you can do, but it goes a long way for us here, so it means a lot to us. Alright, here's all the spines, the way they'll look like. Well, they won't look like this, but you know, they'll look standing up on your shelf, unless you put them like this. But I ain't one to judge. Let's go ahead and keep going. X-Men Epic Collection, The Fate of the Phoenix. Every week that I do these, I give the best book the seal of approval. This week was significantly hard because there's so many books. We have this. We have Thunderbolts, which is one of my favorite series of all time. I pushed for an omnibus for years, and now we have 3. We got 2 more coming out. Yes. We have Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection. We have the beginning of Len Wein's run and the ending of Jerry Conway's run. But I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Give me that X, baby. This book right here gets the near mint condition seal of approval for the... I mean, come on. This is the Dark Phoenix Saga. This is Days of Future Past. This is... Even the extras in here are wonderful. You have all the extra stories from the Marvel Treasury Edition. This is a reprint, by the way, and it still gets a seal of approval because the first printing went like that. And like I always like to stress to people that are either new to the collecting game or, you know, don't really get reprints. Reprints don't get as many printings as, or as many copies out there as a new printing. So this being a reprint means that they won't print as many copies as a new Epic Collection. Okay, I cheated a little bit. This is a modern Epic Collection. But they won't print as many copies as a new printing, a new book. So keep that in mind if you're thinking, well, maybe I'll wait a couple of months. Just in case. I don't want anybody to miss out on the phenomenalness that is about to be exposed to you if you've never seen this. Again, talking about stories, oh my gosh. I feel so old. 40 years plus old. But, you know, I don't want to spoil this for anybody that has no idea what the Dark Phoenix Saga is. No idea what Days of Future Past is. If you don't want to know anything, you want to experience it, you've been enjoying these as you're reading them, go to the next book. Hit that like button. But seriously, yeah, just ignore this because these are so good. I want people to experience them properly for the first time without having anybody spoil them. All right. Anybody else that has read this or don't care because, or has already been spoiled because these books, like I said, are 40 plus years old. Oh my gosh, of course the Dark Phoenix Saga and Days of Future Past. You have the introduction of one of the greatest comic book characters of all time with the very first issue in here. And that is, of course, Emma Frost and Catherine Kitty Pryde. So Kitty Pryde is the new character that joins the team, joins Professor X's school. We also have the introduction of Dazzler with a cover here by John Romita Jr. And we have the Hellfire Club just coming to full light, finding out exactly what they're wanting, finding out why exactly they have pretty much focused on the character of Jean Grey since she has returned to Earth, and one character in particular taking notice of her. But here is where we have the Dark Phoenix Saga. And it is called the Dark Phoenix Saga for a reason. There are beautiful moments here of Scott and Jean. I love this moment right here, where the Phoenix Force is able to hold back his optic blast so he can look at her eyes and her actually look at him without looking through that visor. Beautiful, wonderful moment. Again, the Hellfire Club manipulating Jean Grey. And, of course, oh my gosh, one of the best standalone issues of all time, of course. The ending of 132 is a classic moment, but 133 is where the first solo Wolverine story. But this is where Harry Leland just uses his weight manipulation, so he's able to change objects and people's weights, and uses it to just drown out Wolverine, send him to the sewers. And Sebastian Shaw, man, just going fist to fist. You know, he's absorbing kinetic energy with Storm. And right here. Oh, dude, that panel. That John Terry Austin panel. You've taken your best shot. Now it's my turn. Oh my gosh. And when Kitty does that in the pages of Astonishing X-Men. And then, of course, 133. Wolverine alone. Oh my gosh. And then this is, of course, if you read X-Men, the long soap opera that it is, this is the beginning of some of the Reavers. Right here, when he's hacking and slashing, trying to save his friends. And then, of course, the beginning of the Dark Phoenix. I am fire and life incarnate. I am fire and life incarnate. Now and forever, I am Phoenix. That iconic... There's so many amazing covers here. I haven't even talked about what this collects. This collects Uncanny X-Men 129 to 143. Annual number 4, which is placed beautifully here. Marvel Treasury Edition 26 and 27. The Phoenix Untold Story. And then material from Marvel Team Up number 100. And I'll talk a little bit about that. You can find out for yourself what ends up happening to Jean. What ends up happening to the Phoenix. Immediately after this is when Cyclops decides to leave the team. But not before giving you a quick recap I love when TV shows do this, especially if I was new to a TV show and I was on season 3. I hadn't seen the previous seasons. Now, does that even make any sense for me to say that because of streaming services? Everything's accessible to you at the click of a button. But back then, when TV shows or cartoons were on different seasons, and I started watching a cartoon on season 3, they had flashback episodes to tell you some of the things that had happened previously. I love those. And this is kind of the same thing. We didn't have collected editions back then. This was a way for Chris Claremont and John Byrne to help people kind of catch up with what's happened in all these years of X-Men since X-Men #1 until when Cyclops leaves the team. I love the fact that they keep the Inferno annual in here. This has nothing to do with the X-Men Inferno, by the way. It's just called Inferno. But annual number 4, this is exactly where I read it. It's a Nightcrawler story talking about his past love and some of the demons that come from his past, hence the name Inferno. But they place it immediately after Cyclops leaves the team. It is the best place to read it. And then right afterwards, of course, we get issue 139. Welcome to the team. Yeah, here we go. With this classic cover. Welcome to the X-Men, Kitty Pryde. Hope you survive the experience. And a big change in the old Knucklehead's life. He changes his costume. No one bothers to ask why he changed his costumes. A lot of us just theorized, and of course Claremont later on stated that it was the outcome of the Phoenix, the Dark Phoenix saga, that he needed a change in his life. This is the team up with Nightcrawler. This is where they get buddied up, and they go and fight the Wendigo along with Alpha Flight. And then of course we have, oh my gosh, the next issue, like if they were to do this now, this would be an event. 40 titles, 6-issue event, every title renamed, Days of Future Past. 2 issues, 141 and 142. It is the future. Catherine Pryde is avoiding these Sentinels and the last this is the last remaining mutants that are standing up against these Sentinels that have enslaved not just mutants but also humans. They have killed a lot of superheroes. So last resort, this redheaded young lady here sends Catherine's mind into a young Catherine in the year, I think they still use years here, even though they probably shouldn't have, and to stop a certain assassination by a group of new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And yeah, you can find out if she actually stops them or not. Just read the book. All right. I realize I have a few more books in here. We get the final John Byrne issue, which ties back to a previous issue where the X-Men let this demon horde out. And then this I wanted to talk about. This is the backup here from Marvel this is Marvel Team Up, 100. It's just a few pages, but it shows a flashback featuring a young Storm, or a young Aurora at the time, and a young T'Challa, who would become, of course, Black Panther and her Storm. And out of those little pages is where they got the whole marriage during Reggie Hudlin's run, which is kind of crazy. And then the untold story of Phoenix right here. This has the alternate ending, different pages, different script, of course, and you can find out what was so different. Original artwork all the way in the back, house ads. Oh my gosh, some of these right here. Wow, that cover right there. And a lot of people have homaged that cover, right? They paid homage to it. The Dark Phoenix, this is a plate right there by John Byrne. The Marvel Essentials, covers to many reprints and trade paperbacks over the years. That Dark Phoenix Saga was one of the oldest Marvel trade paperbacks, long before there was Epics, long before there were Omnis. They had those. 480 pages, this particular printing, $44.99, and that is The Fate of the Phoenix. Thunderbolts, Epic Collection Volume 1, Justice Like Lightning. We've had this released in classic editions, so they were smaller trade paperbacks collecting these stories, and we've had these released in omnibus edition. But now, the epic heads, what do you guys call yourselves? You all are getting some love. So here we have the very first Thunderbolts Epic Collection, number 1, collecting issues 1 through 12, Annual 97, Thunderbolts, Distant Rumblings, the -1 issue, Incredible Hulk 449, the Spider-Man team up. Of course, that was the new Spider-Man team up. They just called it Spider-Man team up, not just Marvel team up. Number 7, Heroes for Hire, number 7, and the material from Tales of the Marvel Universe, number 1. Here we have Kurt Busiek, Peter David, Roger Stern, John Ostrander. I love that they have John do work in here. Mark Bagley, Steve Epting, Jeff Johnson, Mike Deodato Jr., Sal Buscema, Pasquale Ferry, just to name a few of the creators helping out with this. If you've never read this and you've waited for this epic, get the heck out of here. I love you, but get the heck out of here. I don't want to spoil anything that happens in this book, and I'm not even going to spoil it for the people that are still here, because I think it deserves to be experienced by everybody so everybody can make up their own minds. But to a lot of us that were reading these stories, or were coming back to comics because of Onslaught, I'll talk a little bit about Onslaught here in a second, because I have to, wow, this was mind-blowing. So freaking awesome. This is after the events of Onslaught. And in Onslaught, Marvel got rid of the Avengers. They got rid of the Fantastic Four. They went over to not the Distinguished Competition, but Image Comics. Some of the Image creators decided to rent, if you will, quote unquote, these Marvel characters for a year. Now Marvel had really, the X-Men who were hated because of the things that happened in Onslaught, and a couple of other superheroes here and there. Of course, Spider-Man being the most probably big famous one. He had 4 titles at the time. A new band of characters stepped up to fill in that missing, I guess, hole in everybody's heart. The world needed superheroes, and here comes the Thunderbolts, led by this guy right here in a mask, Citizen V. You have Mach 1, you have Meteorite, you have Techno, Songbird, and Atlas. And they come in here and just wipe the floor with the bad guys. Art by Mark Bagley for most of this right here. And I love the mapping in here, because this goes with issue number 1, and after issue number 1, you jump right to Hulk 449, which is really their first appearance, but the way this is mapped, it makes more sense, because by the time they appear here, they're already a team, so that's why they have it mapped there differently. This is a little bit from Hulk 450 right back here, and then you have the Tales of the Marvel Universe, collecting only just a few pages that, of course, introduces them to a broader audience, and then more Thunderbolts after. This is the Spider-Man team up with artwork, of course, by our pal Sal Buscema. And then eventually we have this character, Jolt, joining the team. Thunderbolts. I've talked and praised this book. This, by the way, in the next annual is where you find the origin of the Thunderbolts in the first annual, Annual 97. It's how the character of Citizen V decides to recruit these characters. And I've talked about Thunderbolts. I've given it high praises, and it's really difficult to do this without going into spoilers, because the thing that makes them special isn't the only thing that I enjoy about them. What I enjoy about the Thunderbolts is this amazing dialogue and story that Kurt Busiek makes out of this. Yes, the cool twist is awesome. I love it. But the fact that you're able to care about these characters that you really didn't give a crap about before, maybe an exception here and there, it just makes this amazing. Like, it's so good. It reminds me a lot of what Peter David did in the pages of X Factor, or John Ostrander's Suicide Squad. I guess the thing I can say that it might remind people of, if they're not familiar with this era, because we are talking about 1997, it's probably like more of like Dark Avengers by Brian Michael Bendis, if you like that kind of stories. This might be something you may enjoy. And that's all I will say about it. Yeah, and then of course our heroes come back from Image Comics. So there's that whole confrontation. The Most Wanted trade paperback, character designs, back here. And then all the way in the back are pretty much interviews with the creators about the characters. This is a big book. This one here has 520 pages, and it retails for $49.99. And that is Thunderbolts Epic Collection, Justice Like Lightning. The Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection, Spider-Man or Spider-Clone. What we're looking at here is the original Clone Saga, even though wasn't really called that, but I think that's what fans dubbed it. Collecting issues of Amazing Spider-Man 143 to 164, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 10, and then material from Marvel Special Edition number 1. And things are about to change for Peter Parker, not just in creators, but also in some of the supporting cast. So we have Ross Andru now coming in as the big artist, but he's been drawing Spider-Man for a while, taking Spider-Man International, going to Paris. However, when Spider-Man comes back, something big happens in his life. And it's really interesting to read the behind the scenes for this. I believe Jerry Conway talked about how Stan Lee was like, look, this is it. We cannot bring this particular character back from the dead. Once dead, they stay dead. That's the way we're doing this. He kind of... he did something that used a loophole pretty much to bring this character back. And I know I'm talking about minor spoilers, but in case you've never read it, you know, it might be something big, so move on to the next book. I think it's Avengers. But anybody that has read this or anybody that doesn't care about spoilers, of course I'm talking about Gwen Stacy. So Gwen Stacy returns in this page, given like Aunt May an almost cardiac arrest when she finds out that Gwen's alive, and then Peter Parker freaks out, so much so that Ross Andru all the way in the back drew this really funny picture of Peter Parker just jumping out of his slippers when he sees her. But, of course, you know, there's always a twist. Like, how does she come back? And it might have something to do with this character right here, named the Jackal, who makes his first appearance through here. And, of course, it's not just that. I mean, it's also the return of the Scorpion. Shocker makes a return, but not before this big battle that's about to take place in issues 148 to 149, where we have a spider clone running around. So Peter Parker's clone, another Peter Parker, is out there running around with the same powers, the same memories as Spider-Man. And they're out there fighting the Jackal. They're trying to save people's lives. But only one of them can be Peter Parker. And of course, this all gets resolved by the end of issue 149, leaving issue 150 with a big question. Issue 150 is a very iconic issue. It's... You know, we have the departure of Jerry Conway in the previous issue. Archie Goodwin steps in as a guest writer, and Gil Kane comes in as the artist in this. But here's where Peter Parker questions, is he the original Spider-Man? So he goes to Kurt, of course, Kurt Connors, the Lizard, and asking him, you know, to test him, to give him some tests to make sure that he's not a clone. And at the end, he decides to do something which is very Spider-Man to do, which we all love. Of course, that something has ramifications later on when, in the 90s, they decided to bring that idea back of the clone. But that is, I mean, believe it or not, that's just part of the story, because this goes all the way to 164, so you have the return of the Shocker here. He's not the big guy that makes a comeback. You have a wedding of Ned Leeds and Betty Brant. Sandman comes back with a cooler costume. But Doc Ock, looking all homeless, comes back and takes a shower and immediately puts on a costume, and there they go fighting again. But this fight is so interesting. Now we have a new writer. Len Wein takes over writing duties. We have the return of Ross Andru, still drawing the character of Spider-Man. And Doc Ock comes back with different intentions. However, they still get into a fight. And it gets so ridiculous because Spider-Man has to save Aunt May, not from Doc Ock, but from the ghost of Hammerhead. And you can find out exactly what I mean by reading these stories. I happen to love them. This right here, if I'm not mistaken, is annual number 10, and this is drawn by Bill Mantlo. It's one of the issues that he drew. Let's see, Len Wein, writer, Bill Mantlo, artist, and Gil Kane doing the inks, which is probably why I thought when I was younger that this was a Gil Kane annual that he did. But this is annual number 10, again, penciled by Bill Mantlo. Spider Buggy makes a return, however, he's more menacing this time around. And then this wraps up with a big fight between Nightcrawler and Spider-Man, but then it all gets messed up when Jigsaw and Punisher walk into that middle of that fight. And then, of course, we have some extras all the way in the back. Oh yeah, that guy makes a return too, the Kingpin. The extras in the back have house ads, they have covers to the pretty much reprints, Treasury Edition pinups, the calendar. This is the first comprehensive accounting of Marvel's comics and their creators with original 1976 to 1982 magazine format Marvel Comics Index. The series kicked off with a volume index Amazing Adventures, Amazing Adult Fantasy, that's what it was indexing, and Spider-Man titles published through December 1975. Marvel Comics Index 1976 cover by Ron Stutton. That is awesome. This is the picture I was talking about with Ross Andrew that shows the reaction that Peter Parker should have had. Yeah, Spider-Sense could not have seen that happening. The cover art here by John Romita Sr. Rest in peace to a phenomenal artist. Ross Andrew original pages, and then the big fight right here with the Kingpin. This book retails for $44.99, and it has 464 pages. Avengers by Jason Aaron, Volume 4, continuing his run on Avengers, but it did come to an end. I think we'll need 2 more volumes to wrap up his whole era, and that's not including the Heroes Reborn omnibus. It does have a dust jacket right here with this art on board. All right, Jason Aaron's Avengers kicks off with this storyline about how Tony Stark got sent 1,000,000 years back because he found a mask in a cave, or somebody found a mask in a cave that tied it back to him. And the mask is an Iron Man mask, and people are wondering, well, how the hell is this possible? So he gets sent back 1,000,000 years, and there's a whole mystery as to who and why he was sent back. He gets to witness the BC Avengers. I hate those characters. I hate that name. I've never been a fan of the BC Avengers. Boy, there's a lot of retcons in this one. This issue right here sets up what would become Heroes Reborn, introducing us to the concept of the Squadron Supreme, Uncanny Omar talked pretty one day, becoming Earth's mightiest heroes, while Blade goes out there fighting vampires. But he's not alone because the Red Guard is helping him, including Red Widow and Red Guardian, Crimson Dynamo, Darkstar, those characters. And then, of course, you have Mephisto in the background. We get to one of the big story arcs finally, and this is the Fist of Khonshu. So this collects, by the way, issues 31 through 45 of Jason Aaron's Avengers. The kickoff was 2018, I think, when Ed McGuinness kicked it off with him. All right, so this big storyline happens from issues 31 to 38. And it's a little bit of a retcon with Khonshu and the character of Moon Knight. The premise of this is pretty much a bunch of mummies are rising in Egypt, and they're going and attacking different places. We're led to believe that this could be Moon Knight that is doing this. And of course, you know, since we're talking about Africa, and T'Challa steps up and he's wondering what the heck exactly is going on. So a lot of Avengers turn on each other. In the background, we still have Tony Stark trying to figure out how the heck to get away from 1,000,000 years ago. So there's this big fight between Khonshu, but of course, T'Challa stepping in, you know what's going to happen. Kunlun gets involved, and it's not just in Wakanda, but we also make it back to Greenwich Village when we have a bunch of gods invading. And speaking of gods, then we have the beginning of, I guess this would be the new Phoenix arc. Enter the Phoenix is what it's called. This is the remaining issues 39 through 45. Okay, so we kick it off with a story. It's a backup story, a flashback about the Phoenix coming to Earth 1,000,000 years ago and taking its first host. It's this redheaded girl, and we've seen her before in Jason Aaron's Avengers. Now the Phoenix is looking for a new host. So the heroes and villains are duking it out as to who gets to control the Phoenix Force. Again, retcon. If you're new to comics, it just means they're rewriting history. And sometimes it works. Other times, Enter the Phoenix. But yes, here we have Enter the Phoenix. Characters are fighting over who gets to become the new host for the Phoenix. And the final issue that's collected in here is setting up the next story arc, and that is the big fight between Dracula and Blade. Because after the King in Black, it opened up a lot of potential for other villains to do things, to step up, and now Dracula's stepping up, wanting his own nation. All the way in the back, we have concept art right here. And this is no spoilers because anybody can be Phoenix. You can find out who gets to be the Phoenix by reading the books. This is Dustin Weaver's connecting variant covers. And speaking of variant covers, here they are all the way in the back. And some of them are in between chapters. This book has 352 pages and retails for $44.99. And if you're at all curious where it's printed, it is printed at the iMac printer. But the paper stock they're using for this one, it's a little thicker than Volume 3, which was also at the iMac printer. There are some bleed-throughs, though, just like this, in case you're wondering if that stops you from picking books up. Completely respect that. For people that don't care, this is what I mean. Variants are on the opposite page of the standard covers. But I do want to be as thorough as I can be with my overviews. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was your advanced look at all the books coming out this week from Marvel Comics. Let me know in the comments down below which you are picking up. Are you an epic? Like, that's the way you get every single book and you're hoping for more modern epics? Do you get omnis and you're having some of these as placeholders? Wait, no. Yeah, this one here. Some of these as placeholders, or is trade your favorite format? As far as oversized hardcovers, what do you think about the Jason Aaron stuff? Will you pick up an omnibus if an omnibus gets announced? And then, yes, sadly, the anthologies are done with Trials of X. The next volume, actually, Volume 12. But that's it, everyone. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.